Reality recap.
And hi, everyone. Yes, I know you have the reunion. Yes, we have 2 more episodes. And then we have the reunion, of course.
I look like a slut. I look like a mom. She was like, you the one that look like you got a high body count hair. I fell the fuck out, y'all.
Candace, has Deborah reached out to you to apologize after the episode aired showing Chris did not flirt with her?
She wouldn't dare. She would get eaten for breakfast.
Oh boy.
No, she's doubling down.
Why would you go meet with Ray J without talking to Princess or letting her know why? Like, she's trying to justify that she told her after the fact and not supposed to make it.
What do you think of your ex-husband Jim coming out and saying you did not try to stop him from suing Shannon and Tamara?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, if his memory is a little foggy about what transpired back then, that's okay. However, he did admit that I had nothing to do with the...
Reality recap. Reality recap.
Hey, it's your girl V with Reality Recap here for another Tea Talk session. I'm a little late, but always on time, discussing this past Tuesday episode of Love and Hip Hop ATL. Now, I didn't do a recap the week before, so I'm kind of going to bring you up to speed while I'm talking about this episode. I will tie in what took place the previous episode so you are all up to date and not missing a thing. I do apologize, but I will have to say I'm not really in love with this season. So it gets a little hard to recap when you're not that interested. But before we get started, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This video will be on my YouTube channel exclusively because it's not a live, it's a pre-recorded episode. So you see it coming across the screen at Reality Recap 2876 is where you can find me on YouTube and subscribe. And please like this video, share, and once again, please subscribe. Also, make sure you're following me on Instagram and Facebook at what you see down here on the screen, reality_recap. So you can be up to date on all the reality news, all of the gossip in these streets, honey. I'm also incorporating a daily reality news recap so you don't miss anything. Make sure you check it out. All right. Now let's get into Love and Hip Hop ATL. So in this episode, Ashley's still talking about this hotel key. And just to tie that in for you guys, she was questioning Carly Red the week before about her allegedly giving Zayn her hotel key, which we already talked about this when they came back from London, where it was mentioned, and Ashley is still holding on to this, even though in the previous episode, Zayn, as well as Carly, said out in London that this happened years ago. But she still wants to get to the bottom of it. And I'm really not interested in Ashley or Zayn. You're not going to leave him. So being mad about what he's doing isn't really going to serve a purpose as a storyline because you ain't going nowhere. All he got to do is get a violinist, show up on your front yard, and you letting him back in the house. So I don't really want to hear anything else about this hotel key. Carly says it was 20 plus years ago. I think when Zayn said it, when he talked to her about it, he said it was like when Carly was with young Jock. Sorry, I couldn't get it out. But either way, she was like, well, if when she was with young Jock 5 something plus 7 years ago, we've been together 10 years. Like, girl, but y'all ain't been married 10 years. He been doing his thing those 10 years, and even while you were married, so stop it. Like, and Carly Rae also says, as well as Zayn, that the key was given not in a like sexual manner of, hey, come to my room. She's saying it was a party and she was saying, hey, come to my room, bring your girlfriend. Da, 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 da. Why she needed to give a key, I don't know. But Zayn is saying too that they've just been friends. It was in a friendly nature. Whatever it was at this point, it's old news. And I'm tired of hearing Ashley talk about it. Because if you felt some way about it, you knew about it already and you were already on the trip. So get over it. We then see Carly at the airport. Episode before, Carly had been arguing with Tilo. Jock's wife Kendra overheard the arguing and she called Carly at the end of the previous episode, checking on her. And that's where we learned that she was saying, I don't know. I came back to the room. All his stuff was packed and he was going. I got to go after him. I got to go. I got to go. And that's how the episode previously ended. So in this episode, Carly tracked Tilo down. He at the airport, y'all, ready to get on a flight because he's claiming that, in which she admitted to, Carly is still recording him. This came up earlier in the season where he talks about her leaving her cell phone in the car so she can record his conversations or whatever hear whatever's going on in the car, putting air tags on him. Way too much stuff and energy and extra job for somebody that's married. I wouldn't marry someone if I had to go through all of that. There's no trust. What is the point of getting married? It's only going to make things worse. She talks about her past traumas and having PTSD from things that have happened to her in the past. You should heal from that before you go get married. On top of the fact that she said that Tilo has cheated on her in the past. So again, why did you marry him? When they asked her, the producers asked her in her confessional, how many times he cheated or something to that nature. She then, after already telling us that he cheated, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to give any details. That's between me and my husband. Okay, girl. So I will say I'm not surprised to hear that they're already getting divorced. I reported on that at the beginning of the week that Tilo filed for divorce from Carly. Not condoning what was done at all, though. But in the police report, it was said that he was charged, arrested for simple battery because she reported that he hit her in the chin with a closed fist and threw her cell phones on the ground, and he was arrested after trying to resist arrest. So there you have it. They're in the process of getting a divorce, but Carly won big in this divorce settlement because he filed for the divorce, yet she was awarded spousal support until further notice of upwards of about $18,500 a month until further notice, as well as a restraining order where he has to stay away from her. So good for her. But I just don't think they should have got married in the first place. He didn't even want his mom to know that they were already married. That's a red flag in itself. And then again, with her chasing him down, recording him, surveillance him, who wants to go through all of that? That's just a bit much. But he ended up not going on the flight. It was the last flight of the day. I guess she talked him out of it. He stayed and he decided to stick it out through the trip. So but he was at first tired. He was like, nah, I'm ready to go. I'm done with you, this relationship. I'm out. But he decided to stay. Also on this episode, Ray Face, who is Bambi's new man on the show. At the time of the show, they had only been dating about 3 months, and she decided to bring him to Mexico. He's now her fiance. He proposed to her on her birthday a few weeks back, but she brought him on the trip, and he posted her on his Instagram, on his social media for the first time while on the trip. And Bambi talked about how her DMs were immediately flooded with, oh, you're moving on too fast, that she's not a good mom, that she leaves her children to be with this guy. You know how the internet do, just a nasty place. She got her DMs flooded with judgmental people who are probably doing the same or worse. So she just talked about how she tries to keep her relationships private, and this is why she has to even figure out at times, is it worth going public and dealing with the public scrutiny if it's not someone that it works out with. But she thinks that it's going to work out with Ray Face. I don't know him other than what I've seen. I've never even heard of him until she started dating him, but he's a rapper. He didn't do well in his rap in his rap competition on the show when they got to Mexico, when all the boys rap something to their women. But we'll get to see. I mean, so far he's holding his own against Zayn. They had a big argument in the episode previously where Zayn is saying how he feels funny having this guy around when he's used to seeing Bambi with his dog Scrappy, as if they hang out other than him joining this show. We ain't never seen Zayn and Scrappy together in the club. Like, please. Also calling Ray Face the new guy. No, Zayn, you're the new guy. And he was poking fun at him, saying, "Oh, you look like Future. You a fake Future." He was calling him the past since he said he looked like a Timo Future, I guess. But yeah, they ain't doing too much. Corny, immature, per usual. Not really interested in him on their storyline, but that's what him and Ray Face got into the episode before. So she's, feeling like, okay, he can hold his own. He defends me against this group. So she's, it's drawing them closer to each other, I should say, in this episode. What else? What else? Tilo then has a conversation with Mandices. He pops out after deciding not to leave. He has a conversation with Mandices, telling him the same thing, how she surveillance him and records him and monitors his every move. And it was a strange conversation for me, mostly because of the things that Mandisi's saying. It was almost as if he was giving a guidebook of, this is how you cheat in peace, bruh. You're like, yeah, what you got to do is you just got to whisper in her ear. You got to whisper in her ear and tell her, this yours. Yeah, that P is mine. That D is yours. And, then she think it's hers and you good. I was just like, what do you mean by that? It was a really awkward situation for me to watch because it was definitely given like, so is that what you do to Yandy for her to think that you now out here messing with Jasmine's friend or what? That you weren't really trying to talk to Jessica White's niece. What is it, bruh? But it was just a really strange conversation. And then he had the nerve, Mandisi's meaning, to get in his confessional and say, yeah, I should write a book, because I'm the only man out here that ain't had a baby on their wife yet. And I was just wondering how others was going to feel watching that episode, like i.e. Rashida, Kirk, i.e. Kendra, Young Jock, wondering how they would feel about that. But he did say that, and I was thinking in my head that we know of yet. I definitely think that where there's smoke is fire. Eventually something's going to surface and they're going to become the main storyline, in my opinion. Not trying to wish it on them, but where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm just going to say that. Also in that conversation, I want to point out that he talked about Carly Tilo, meaning he talked about Carly recording him in the hotel room that led to him leaving. He says that he was talking to his mama and that he was talking to his mama about a pocketbook that he wanted to get Carly. I don't know if that's true or not, just seemed strange. I'm just going to say that for someone that you just said that in the episode before or so, that your mom doesn't even know you're married yet. So I don't know if that's who he was really talking to or not, but that's what he said, child. I don't believe none of these men on Hip Hop Atlanta. I really don't. So what else? What else? What else happened on the episode? They all go out to going to the rooftop at the hotel for dinner, and Zayn talks about how in front of Rashida and Kirk, he says like, yeah, I be telling Ashley she needs to be more like Rashida. Everybody says that. All the men that do wrong, do dirt on this show always say, you need to be more like Rashida. Yeah, because they want you to stay and endure it all and deal with it, is why they want you to be like Rashida. It's not because she's some great entrepreneur or all of that. They just want you to stay because she turns a blind eye to the foolishness and continues to stay with Kirk. But she says that, and Ashley makes like a smart comment, and Rashida goes off in her confessional, though, not there, but she goes off in her confessional. She like, yeah, you acting like what's wrong with being like me? You need to be like me and get your money up and get some better wigs, because them wigs is giving season 1. I said, woo, woo. Rashida has been very hypocritical in her confessionals the past couple of episodes. We also heard her in her confessional the episode before talk about how she doesn't think Carly's marriage is real and how she thinks it's fake. She gets a little sly with her comments about DC's and Yandy. And it's like, you started the whole cheating train, you and Kirk, honestly, having a whole baby and bringing the side baby mama on the show. So it's just giving pot calling the kettle, calling the pot. You get what I'm saying? It's almost comical to hear her even have an opinion. If I was her, I'd just zip it. Okay. zip it. But it's just comical to hear her have these type of opinions, like her man ain't do her real bad. So I don't know. I just didn't like that, but that's what she says. Now, Carly Red is introducing or having a sex class because she says she's a licensed sex therapist. She went to school for that. Hence why she got 20 rings and 3 or 4 husbands. They love the milk, but not necessarily buying the cow. But she is hosting a sex ed class, and Bambi's over there acting like a prude, like, oh my God, this is not the class for me. And I really feel like, and I mentioned this before in another recap, it's all because of like the things she's getting in her DM. She wants us to believe that she's not sleeping with Ray Face, that they're just dating and not in that space yet. Like, I'm not bringing no man on no vacation and we ain't sleeping together. I'd rather go by myself or with my friends. But I feel like it's a front because of the backlash she receives in her DMs and on social media for dating. That's just my thought. She could be telling the truth. I don't know, but that's just my thought. But she was acting like a prude during this thing. Also, they started playing like a blindfold game where you have to lead your mate and them trust you that you won't lead them into a wall or walk off into the pool. And Ashley and Zane were doing terrible at it. Like, he like, you making me hit stuff. Oh my God. Just being real extra immature. And Carly calls them out saying, oh my God, y'all doing terrible. Game over. Y'all clearly don't trust each other. And Ashley clapped back saying, I know you ain't talking when you just had to go to the airport to get your man to come back today. So that was funny to me, but she clocked her real quick on that. So, the other reason, that really what happened. After that, a couple of them did the whole blindfold thing. Kendra and Jock did, and he like, I can follow you because I could smell you. You smell so good, blah blah blah. So the game was whack, and that was that. But the reason why I'm also disappointed in this episode was really because the biggest piece of it wasn't on film. After that, they went into getting confessionals from Zane, Bambi, Young Jock, saying how like after that party ended, they had a nightcap and it got heated between Rashida and Yandy, where Yandy expressed to Rashida she was disappointed that she didn't have her back with this whole Jasmine and friend situation coming after Mandices and saying one of her friends is messing with Mandices but scared to come forward. That we heard that in the season finale last season. So Rashida is still on her standpoint of they were coming for you and it got nothing to do with me and Kirk, even though it's Kirk's side baby mother who's orchestrating all this. Not even gonna say she orchestrated, but it's her friends that she's bringing on the show to bring this up. I kind of agree with Yandy that you, my friend, I would be like, yo, don't do that. Don't why are you doing this? Kirk, talk to your baby mother, or I'm gonna have to step in and help. Like if they really close friends like that. But apparently in this whole blow up, Rashida said ain't nobody her friend but Kirk motherfucking Frost. Okay, but Kirk Frost is her only friend, her ride or die, the one that's done her the dirtiest anyway. So I was just disappointed that this big blow up wasn't caught on camera and we're only left to deal with the separated group, them riding on separate buses and giving their opinion of Rashida saying like, all right, well, we ain't really friends, and Yandy being disappointed by that and saying, okay, I know how to handle her going forward. And that's really how we ended the episode, with them riding in separate buses. But the bus that Rashida is on, Kirk, Zane, I think Ciara, some other people got pulled over by the police and they're out in Mexico. So we don't know why they pulled them over or, what's going to happen there. But that was the cliffhanger for our next episode. I mean, overall, it's not really giving. The things that are happening on the show, I think that's why I'm less interested. And I mentioned this before as well, is that we already know that Scrappy is the child. This newborn that Shakira had is actually his child. We already knew how they conceived the child. We already know the child is born. All that stuff played out months and months and months ago. So it's really not surprising anything that's happening here. And the things that are happening that we didn't know about aren't that interesting. So at this point, I'm having more fun laughing at Love and Hip Hop Miami than I am at ATL. But, those are my thoughts on this past episode with a little bit of mix of the previous week. included. So make sure again that you like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for all the reality trending show recaps, as well as follow me on Instagram and Facebook so you get all the reality news, honey, and your daily reality news recaps. Before I go, as I always say, reality TV stars are humans too. Let's not forget that. It's your girl V with Reality Recap, and I'll be right back with my thoughts on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Reunion Part 1. Peace.